This video will boost your elo by 200%, and I'm not even joking. We're going to cover the best opening for white that you can play game after game, without worrying about your opponent's moves. Of course, I'm talking about the London system, so grab your notes and let's get started. It starts with pawn to d4, opening up your bishop. Then, move your bishop to f4, applying early pressure on your opponent. Next, play pawn to e3 to protect both your bishop and your d4 pawn. Follow that with pawn to c3, completing the pyramid structure. Move your knight to d2 to prevent any advances from your opponent's knight, and then place your knight on f3 to solidify your defense. Finally, position your bishop on d3, creating a powerful sniper post. These are the basics of the London system, but if you leave the video now, you won't know how to counter certain variations and might get checkmated in just 3 moves. So, let's go over some moves your opponent could make and how to counter them, to protect yourself in the future. If by move 3 your opponent doesn't attack your central pawn, take the initiative by pushing pawn to c4. If they capture, recapture with your bishop on c4, gaining a stronger position and greater control of the center. Then, continue developing your knights to c3 and fe3, further solidifying your position. Once that's done, you can castle kingside, giving you a solid setup as you head into the middle game. If your opponent plays a passive opening like the King's Indian, just stick to your usual setup. Develop your pieces as planned, making it very difficult for your opponent to gain any advantage. As you can see, white maintains complete control of the center, and you've effectively blocked their bishop's attack on your rook. Now, for the final part of the opening to remember. Let's take a common defense like the Caro-Kann, and I'll show you how to counter it with the London system, crushing your opponent's hopes and dreams. Start with pawn to d4, and if they respond with pawn to ce6, you know it's the Caro-Kann. Your response should be pawn to e4. When they push their pawn to d5, you'll play the exchange variation. Capture on d5, and when they recapture, continue by developing your bishop to d3. Then, secure your position by protecting your pawn with pawn to c3. Now you've got a strong, solid setup. Now, let's look at a different setup of the Caro-Kann. If they start with d5, you still go ahead with bishop to f4. If they play the pawn to c5 variation, you exchange pawns on d4. If they make a passive move, just stick to basic opening principles. However, if they develop their bishop to f5, you play pawn to c4, entering the accelerated London Steinitz counter gambit. If they capture your pawn, you simply recapture with your bishop on c4, leaving you in a strong position and completely disrupting their plans. Now, you know how to play the London system like a pro and are ready to take on any opponent. But before we wrap up, let's quickly look at a game between Grandmaster Boris Grachev and Grandmaster Alexandra Goryachkina to see how the London system is executed at the highest level of chess. The game began with pawn to d4 and d5, the standard London setup. White followed with bishop to f4, and black responded with knight to f6. White then made the ideal move, pawn to e3, protecting both the central pawn and the bishop. After black pushed pawn to c5, white responded with pawn to c3 and knight to d2, solidifying the pyramid structure and controlling the center squares. We'll skip ahead to move 9, where white places the bishop on da4. As you can see, white has executed a perfect London system setup. Now, the next few moves are crucial if you want to learn a clever trap that can be played after this setup. Skipping ahead to move 10, black makes a blunder by capturing white's bishop on g3, losing a knight in the process. White then plays the brilliant move, bishop to h7, followed by capturing the knight on h3. White retreats, delivering a check, and then sacrifices the rook, on h8. At this point, black resigns. The checkmate sequence would have been queen to h5, followed by queen to h7 for checkmate. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, you're sure to improve your chess level instantly. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you win all your games with the London system. Goodbye.
Whatever. Please, I want to reach 1 million.